just a couple of unboxings to do. I actually have a crack in this crankcase here, crankcase half, and I decided probably good to replace it. And really, I couldn't find, at least I couldn't find quickly, a single case half. So I got a full crankcase coming from Barry's Chainsaw Shop. I believe it's up in New Hampshire. Yep, James, you are first. 6 people here. Who's here? Tickle in my throat kept me up most of the night, driving me crazy. Pate is here. So, the 440 hybrid is going to be interesting. This is from Junkyard. I've got Junkyard saw here. Pat made it. Hey, Pat, I got a question for you. I know that you're the tractor guy. My dad has a Ford 1220 tractor, and the bearings on the end, the hub bearings for the front end, are just a little bit on the weak side for that size of tractor. And I'm wondering if you could take the front end from a series up from that. I guess like would be a 1620 or maybe a 1320, whatever the next size up is. I wonder if you can take the front end off of that and actually put it on the 1220, and how difficult that would be, because it's kind of like the weak spot on that tractor, you know. So when you're running around with a front end loader, you tend to bugger bearings because they're a little bit on the small side. Anyway, just something to think about. If you think about it, if you have an idea, it'd be appreciated. Anyway, let's get to it. 6 people here. You know what? Let me bring you up on if the center pin is the same. Yeah. Well, the thing is, he actually cracked one of the knuckles, and then had that front axle rebuilt. And my understanding is it cost him like $4,000, which seemed a little bit too pricey to me. Yeah. Too pricey. So it'd be nice to not have to do that, you know. Yes, Brett, we're gonna get to it. Don't worry. So this is from Brian, and this is actually 359 parts. One of those, you know, if you gotta build like this, you have to start calling in favors, you know, and yep, I need that. Okay. And so you got to keep in mind that if you're calling in favors, you also got to start staying ahead on favors too, you know. He's got some clips here. Good, those will work. Filter with some bolts, wires, should be fine. This I may return to him because we already have that part. I'm gonna have to make it. I gotta make a box up for Brian, so he can get some goodies here. So you always gotta, if you're calling in favors, you gotta make sure that you're ahead on other favors, you know. What's that doing in there? Who knows? Did I ask for those? I don't know. Oh, these are case bolts. Good. Okay, we do actually have the hardware for top handle. Which is here. You know, I don't know if it's the same top handle for a 350 as it is for a 359. Here's a muffler. Oh wow, this has got like the baffle in it and everything. Ugh. Gonna need to open that up somehow, you know? Hey. Yikes. Hey, George. Okay, so this will help us in the 359 project, but really I'm stalled until I actually get the crankcase settled. As soon as I have that, we can really start putting this thing together. So for this moment, all this stuff, this goes in the ultrasonic. I gotta check and see if this actually is the same as a 350. I don't know. Ultrasonic. Put all these in the ultrasonic too. Yeah, that part. That'll work. Don't know why I have these. I forget. Did I ask him to throw those in there? I don't remember. These will come out smelling wonderful. I think this is a HDA 175, which will work, unless I drop it on my foot. So, which will work, but obviously I need to work on it a bit. Let me go through this in ultrasonic. Hang on a second. So here's the nice clean case half, which I will send to Brian. Need these bolts off here. I'm going to take the bolts off because we don't want to lose those. I don't need the tensioner. But I do need this other clip. I have to figure out how to get that out, preferably without breaking it. Did I see Nikki? Anybody here I haven't given a shout out to? These are actually coarse thread. These are screws for the ignition coil, but they're coarse thread. Blood out my spinal fluid. Yuck. Yeah. Ugh. Spinal fluid is funky stuff. So I'll make up a box there for Brian so that way we can stay on the level, you know. Okay. That probably going to him also. All these things go fine. Clip is moved to the back. Pry. Right. Effectively have to ramp it down and then push it. There we go. Nope, didn't quite go. I'll show you guys in a second what I'm doing. Okay. There's the clip. So you have to take this piece and squeeze it together, that's all. Meteor OEM cylinder. This one's gonna get an OEM cylinder. Or this 359 I'm working on. It depends on what you're doing. A lot of the Meteor cylinder heads are almost as pricey as OEM, so you basically might as well get OEM. For a lot of the stuff that I work on, the OEM head just tends to be the thing to do. Alright, now for the big event here. So Junkyard sent me a 440 hybrid, not for me, but in trade for it was that 262 with all kinds of compression. He wanted a 262 and he got a hot 262. So if I'm not myself today, guys, I was up late last night. Wasn't sleeping. I got a tickle in my throat, driving me crazy. So, in case anybody's wondering why Matt's being a little weird. I know, I'm like that pretty much all the time, but still. Potentially extra weird today. I don't need this guy. Thank you. I haven't done very much in the way of 440 stuff, ever. And I just have, it's not a matter of why, it's just a matter of I haven't. I did the kit, the 440 kit, which I actually did multiple times, but the rest of 440 stuff I have had no need to do. All right. Who's willing to bet that he packed this all with the packing peanuts? Oh, God, yes. Oh, yes, he did. Oh, man. You got lucky, dude, that this is not... You gotta put this in plastic. So, guys, there's lots of bubble wrap in here, so I'm not worried about the condition of the saw, but when you pack saws, you really have to wrap the saw itself in plastic bags, like garbage bags, because otherwise stuff happens. Something leaks or whatever, and then you get in trouble with the Postal Service. And yes, I've had that problem. Goldfinger comes on at 8:30. Okay. Yeah, so there's oil everywhere. So, Jeff, you got lucky here. So supposedly this is a 440 hybrid. That's what I'm told. Real question is, where are my steel experts to tell me all about this saw? There's oil here. That's not a surprise. That happens. Good, he actually stuffed these with something. Good thing too, they are wet. Okay. It's a newer 440. Still says made in Germany on here, so that must be an old starter cover. Fuel filter looks fine. Alright, let's close that for the moment. What I want to do is I just want to kind of give this the general check over and make sure that seems solid, you know. Boiler dip tube is in there, that looks fine. That O-ring feels a little bit hard on there, so that might be why it's leaking. Of course, that might not be where it's leaking from, too, you know. Don't know. Alright. last to start handle on it. Definitely has compression. Steel filter, not aftermarket. Yeah, there's a crack on the back side of the handle, but he told me about that, and that really is something to pay no never mind anything. There's a window here that's open to the cylinder head. Is there a plug for that? AV mount looks right. The only thing I'm seeing on here that's aftermarket so far is the decompression valve. You may want to change that out. And he packed the dog here separately. So I will attach that. What I do want to do is take off the muffler, or take the cup muffler cover off, and see what's up. Yeah, this is the summer winter, but is there a block there? Because I don't see I don't see a block there, or something to block it. Maybe if I take the cover off there, I'll find something under there. Now the cover comes off. Out. Do I need to pull the spark plug? Okay, fine. We'll pull the plug out. Ken, your favorite. It says torch. Okay, so one thing that I see right off the bat is that the flywheel is hitting the head. The parts. Can fit a piece of paper. But barely. Need to grind a little relief on that, I think. And this is not an OEM head. At least I don't think so. Well, let's check squish. Let's pull the muffler and see how she go. Get excited. Okay. That's 30 thousandths there, but something here is really thin, so let me snip it the middle. That's 16 thousandths. What is going on inside this head, Jeff? There's no scoring. It's pretty darn clean in there. There's a notch here where maybe somebody put a piston stop on there, on the top of the piston. Tomorrow's surgery day, Larry. We'll be praying for you, buddy. Yeah, that's real thin. You can tell me what the piston mark is? See, it looks like it's 20 thousandths here, but that's not the actual number, because there's a really thin spot on here. That says 18. Sounds good, Larry. I like the enthusiasm. Let's pull the muff here. At least pull the cover off. Sorry guys, I'm just looking at the piston. Other than some minor scratches, I don't think it's a problem. That ring is loose, and that ring is loose. Okay, I can see the rings are loose. Alright. Well. Junkyard, do you know what head is on here? Because it does not look OEM to me. And do you know what's going on with the summer-winter cover? I'm just not familiar with the model, so... No, sure. Okay. Okay. Well, I'd have to venture a guess to say that the seals are okay at this point. With as many tanks as you have through it, the likelihood the seals are good. So at this point, if the head hasn't blown up yet, can we see if this is a gasket delete or not? Can't tell. Can't tell. Well, I'm going to tell Marcello to run it like he stole it at this point. And then kind of see what happens, and if it needs a new head, then I will be chatting with him. Does that saw run? Ask Junkyard. It was his. I know. You guys want me to pop it, right? Okay. Alright, fine. We pop it. Fire it up. Okay. Alright. That goes there, that goes there. I'll fire it up without the cover on. What do you think? Is there no chain catcher with this, Junkyard? I've got one. You mean this one misses? It's right here. Don't worry. Waiting. Just waiting right now. Got some logs outside I gotta move around, you know. Actually, I have some beams. I got some 8x8s sitting outside. I'm here in my PJs. Well, so let me throw on a chain catcher here. throw on a Husky chain catcher, and it'll be fine. Not trying to insult the saw, you know. Don't want to do that. But these Chinese roller chain catchers are just fine. They work really nice. It's full. And may you never need to remove that. Seven pin, which will be fine. I'll order up a 20-inch Tsujihara, and that'll be good. Yeah, I think everything else here is OEM. I'd be real curious to know if the seals got done. This definitely looks like a saw that would be really, really nice to actually send out for powder coating. You know, get a new tank for it, just to make it fresh. You know, powder coat the cases, powder the starter. Yeah, because you got mag rot here on the starter. Maybe a new starter would be good. That's mag rot in there. And this might be trauma. Yeah, maybe a new starter. But for now, I know that Marcello just needs this to cut wood. There's so many ways for this to get hung up. Forget that for the moment. Let me just put in. We'll put this back. Get this back together. And see if we can cut something. Or not cut something, but get it started. Another thing this doesn't have is the exhaust gasket. There's an exhaust gasket that goes in there, but I am unsure if those are something you can actually buy separately. It was actually something I mentioned a while ago. It'd be nice to have that as an aftermarket option. You know, something for like 99 cents. You can just buy a gasket, slap it on, you know. couldn't have made it harder to put this cover on. I mean, really? People. We'll get a compression number, see where we're at. Right, we need a compression number. Mm-hmm. Uh-oh, this one's stripped. Uh-oh. Let me get an insert. We'll get a compression number first. I know you guys are itching. We'll do that. Yeah, hopefully I can get an insert that fits in there. Okay. Compression 0. There's 120. There's 150. 160. 170. 170. 175. 175. That's all she do. Torch plug bothering me. I've got NGKs out in the shed. Don't worry, we will get this fired, but just gonna put this in there gentle. I can fix this case issue here. Larry, here's the inserts. I'm gonna do an insert here in case you haven't seen it. This is M8 by 1.25. Almost. A little further. Come out the side. Actually, I don't think I don't. Let's just do this. This is a flat bottom tap that I made. Just drill go just a little further. Come on. Why won't you go? Good. Hopefully not drilling into the cylinder head. Almost. Bring this tap in. There we go. That's got it. It's just magnesium, so you don't have to worry about busted taps or anything like that. You'd have to work at it to bust this tap. Anyway, okay. Let's do a insert here. Here's the part number, H71058. These inserts I get at HL Supply. They are M5. One thing you definitely want to do, get your Dremel tool out. General good policy. James, that's a good idea for Mother's Day. Crank tools. It makes sense. Yeah, you can make these out of threaded rod. If I remember right, 5/16 threaded rod works fine. But it's a whole lot easier to buy them. I've made them with threaded rod before. I've made these things. They're so inexpensive that you might as well just buy it. But one thing I like to do is put a notch in them. That way you can grab it with a flat blade. Hey, Dave. Yeah, I know. I found you one. Fred had one. I think he wanted $1,300 for a 372. Heated handle, modded, big bore, exactly the way that you wanted it. You sold two saws ready to. Okay. I hear you. Getting one that that you want, and I know what you want, but getting one that you want is going to be an exceptionally pricey venture. So this is JB Quick Weld, which I use fairly often. So I think going with live feed, Mac. Live feed keeps going. I'm good here. The kids are probably watching too much TV, Okay. So now what you can do with the insert is just use your flat blade and thread it on in. There you go. Simple. Right. You want big bore modded three. Dave, you might want to talk to Rattler in North Carolina. That's Mike Shetley. If you want a 372 big bore modded with heated handles, he would be the guy to talk to. Larry, did I send you maybe? All you do, you need to, on OPE forum, look up Rattler. 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 Husqvarna 372 idle drops sometimes dies, tips saw forward. Lockhart, how old is the saw? When was it last rebuilt? What's the compression? You know, I think I need to add a little bit more quick weld to that. It's a 2000, so it's nearly new. Are you using non-ethanol fuel? What fuel are you using? Just a little bit more quick weld on this. Ultra unleaded. That's not non-ethanol. I don't think Ultra is non-ethanol. If it doesn't say no ethanol, whether you're using 93 or 87, it doesn't, you know, or 94, which is Ultra, I don't think that's non-ethanol. So if you're using an ethanol blend, it tends to eat stuff, including carburetors. It sounds to me either you have an air leak of some kind or you have fuel puddling in the carburetor. So it just could mean a carburetor adjustment. Because the saw is so new, I would doubt that it has an air leak. So then you hit the simple stuff first, i.e. carburetor, you know. Yeah, tilting the saw forward, usually you end up with fuel puddling in the carburetor because it's not flowing fuel right. So either it's tuned, the carburetor is tuned way too rich. You could have the needle not seated right, or the not adjusted right, rather. Does that help? Okay, so you've adjusted the carburetor and all that stuff. So the issue still persists. Have you had the carburetor apart? So if you want the thing, I might take the carburetor apart and see if the lever height is adjusted correctly for the pump. But because there's a lever and a needle in the carburetor, if that lever is not adjusted exactly flush with the right spot, then you're going to be puddling fuel all the time, or it's gummed up and you're in the needle sticking open or closed or something. So then you're puddling fuel. Yeah, one thing you can do is go to canned gas and see if that helps. You know, clean the carburetor out. May need a carburetor kit, and a relatively straightforward thing to do is just get a new carburetor, because that's always nice to have a brand new carburetor. If yours is gummed up, then sometimes they get pretty frustrating to adjust. And even if you know how to kit them, I've not had good luck overall with kitting those particular carburetors. That's an RWJ4, and overall I just don't have great luck kitting those. So that's my luck. It's not everybody's, but if a carburetor is gummed up, I with those anyway, I just don't have a good time putting them back together. Yeah, the Walbro HD12 is not a 2018 model saw. A Walbro HD12 is from a 2010 or earlier 372. You said you had a 2018 saw. A 2018 saw is an X-Torque. Oh, it was rebuilt in 2018. Somebody rebuilt it. Okay. Who built it? So I would go back to the builder and ask. That would be the first stop. Would be go back to the builder. But that said, you can get a HD12 on eBay right now. If that's what that is, if you have an HD12, then you can get one right now. HL Supply sells them like $80. Takes 5 minutes to change it, and that's a pretty easy. The Walbro HD12s are even more finicky to to figure. I can't think of a I've tried kitting HD12s, and I try like every time. So let me ask this question: is it possible to go back to the builder and talk to the builder? Gotcha. So you can send him the saw and he can have a look. The easy thing in my mind would be, instead of shipping the saw back and forth. I mean, you're going to spend what, 80, $90 shipping the thing anyway, back like to him, and then another whatever it is back. So you can end up spending a lot of money that way. The easy thing to do is just throw a new carburetor at it. A brand new Walbro HD12 is like 80 or $90. You can get them for a little bit less expensive, depending on if you can find them. But I'm pretty sure HL Supply has them. James, can you post the link for HL Supply? HL Supply has them. You can just order from them. You just click on my link that James will post here, hopefully here in a minute, and order from them. And you can, I would throw that at it before I started shipping things back and forth. You know what I mean? Okay, so I've got those two in. I'm going to wait for this to cure just for a couple more minutes, but let's see if we can throw the spark plug in here, even though it's a torch plug, Ken's favorite. I have a fresh NGK I can put in here. Out in the shed, though. Not trying to impact it in. You don't want to do that. Yeah, I'd say if Larry has a suggestion, listen to him too. Yeah, it makes sense. Like try starting. So air and fuel are very closely related. So, one flows, the other flows, that type of thing. So, one tends to carry the other with it, rather. So if something's gummed up somewhere, I mean, try changing the spark plug. The fuel filter, I would probably change, and the carburetor. At this point, they're really easy to do. I'm going to go back in a minute. Choke is on. Oh. She runs. Yeah, all kinds of little stuff. Do the little stuff first. New plug, new fuel filter, and maybe throw a new carburetor at it. That's in good. That's in. All I need to do is change out the plug, and Marcello will have a running saw. So, hang on. You know what? Might as well run a die on these studs. Yeah. Sometimes you gotta put a die on the studs, Yeah, check the air cleaner too. C268, what's going on there? By the way, Mason is running around right now with my 272. I think he's having a good time. He was testing out saws here the other day, and couldn't help himself with that 272, so. Yeah, Lockhart, simple stuff first. Another thing you can do before you do anything else is pull the muffler and check the piston. Well, yeah, like Larry says, you know. Why is it running into that? I'll just grind that off. Better. Another 2 millimeters, we got it. Good. Now I need a Sujihara for it, which I will get. And hopefully Marcello's happy. Pretty much. Tell Ken the spark plug works. Yeah, no. That's right. I'll get a different plug just to make Ken happy. Yeah. It's funny. Gotta go out to the shed and get it done. It's kind of a crappy day outside. So, all right. So that's good. Got the stuff unboxed. I can have Sujihara on here, and away we go. I think. Yep. So shout outs. Obviously, if you can, prayers for James are always helpful. He's still in a rough spot. Larry, I have a sneaky suspicion, is in a very similar situation. So if you guys can, thoughts and prayers towards Larry, that would be great. And any tractor man, Pat, he was in a bit of a rough spot too. So prayers for him would be much appreciated. Questions, comments, anything at this point? William Prophet, you have a good one, okay? So I think I'm going to call it here. Nothing else doing right now. Got the packages. I'm happy. Now I'm just waiting for the next package, which is the crankcase for the 359. Once that's good, once we're good to go on that, I will get to building. Get that together. Hey, Ellie. Lockhart, yeah, let us know how it works. You know, if you find something and you can teach me something, I'm all for it. Can't teach Larry anything, maybe, but you can teach me. Yeah, Larry does these 372 stuff all the time. So I do too, but um, having different. My impression of puddling in carburetors is if you let it sit there and idle, it's fine. And as soon as you tilt it forward, basically more fuel comes through for some reason. So the fuel has been puddling in the carburetor. So something is causing the fuel to puddle in the carburetor. Something's not flowing exactly right. You know what I mean? So if something's gummed up, that'll do it. But if Larry says filter, I mean, heck, take the air filter off while it's idling and check it, see if it does it. You know, Billy Prophet, you got it. So, anything else, guys? Questions, comments, anything? Have a great day. Everybody be safe. Stay healthy. All that fun stuff. Get rest. I didn't get any sleep last night, so I gotta go get some rest. And we will talk to you guys later. Have a great one. Bye, guys.